Are we lying?
All right. That's right. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, beautiful waves.
Yep, we're live. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Egghead podcast. So, today we'll be discussing the recently aired episodes of Pokemon Journeys as well as some new info we've gotten about upcoming episodes, including the Sophocles episode, episode 96, and even Ash versus Marty, the next Pokemon World Championships battle. One second. So, I'm your host, Moot, and these are our speakers.
Hello, everyone. I'm Diroro, a professional overthinker who likes to speak a lot about this anime and often reviews the episode on the subreddit. And this it's a pleasure to be here.
Hey everyone, I am Monkey, and I'm glad to be here as well.
Greetings and many great hellos. I'm Cotton, and thanks for having me back.
And next is
Good morning, afternoon, evening, beautiful waves. This is Genesis here, and it's a pleasure to be back here after the holidays. We've got a lot of ground to cover, and hopefully we can try and get all of that done this episode.
And last but not least, I am Basil here, and we hope you enjoy this podcast.
all right. So first off, we haven't had one of these in a while. So first, we should kind of review the older episodes that aired at the end of 2021. The major episodes that aired were Go's second Project Mew trial mission, which involved the return of Drake. The Diamond and Pearl special, the winter special that featured Dialga and Palkia, as well as Alistair's debut and Gengar's acquirement of Gigantamax.
Dynamics, yeah. Plenty of ground to cover today.
Yeah, we do. So I think we should really just go through like our brief thoughts as a whole through each of us of the recent episodes, just so that we're not here for 4 hours. So,
Yeah, let's try and make this a speed run.
uh-huh.
Speed run 80%.
So
Yeah.
I think I'll start. So overall, I think that the episodes that aired at the end of 2021 were, I think, really a good stepping stone towards what we've gotten more recently. So even the Diamond and Pearl special, it set up a lot of things in order for new viewers to sort of care about the significance of the recently aired Pokemon Legends Arceus arc. For example, showing the importance and just how strong the Sinnoh legendary Pokemon are and how much of an influence they have on the world and its like normal functioning. And that kind of stuff can be told to you that, oh, they are this strong, but without actually seeing it, I guess seeing it gives it more impact. So even though those episodes were quote unquote special episodes, I do think they were important for setting up the stage, I guess, for the later Pokemon Legends Arceus episodes. And of course, Gengar acquiring Gigantamax seems to be should be a major plot point and development for Ash's team going forward. And I'm hoping that we'll be seeing Gmax Gengar against Marnie next month. So yeah, I think those episodes were fairly important. What do you guys think about them?
So I am a bit mixed in some of the episodes we got. There are some I really, really like it, and others I am not as positive about. However, I would like to spare 2 seconds to speak of one you didn't mention, which I think is one of the best of the lot, which is the Glacian episode with Chloe.
I can't believe I shilled that episode so much when it came out. I can't believe I forgot it existed.
Yeah, really. It's one of the after we had a lot of criticism of how the Espion and Umbrian episode went. That's really how you should do a Chloe episode. It's really something very intimate, very heartfelt, and very interesting. And really liked what he did with heavy topic. Like not being accepted, and also the interesting take he had about human Pokemon relationship, where Glaceon was simultaneously the Pokemon that was the only friend Regina Corellian, but at the same time, she was also contributing to her feeling more isolated. It was a very interesting take, and I liked the way the resolution went. And also, in spite in opposition to how a lot of the Chloe episode tend to involve her being inspired and being supported by the EV trainer, here she was the one helping out the evolution trainer, which I think was a good twist at the format that showed that Chloe is growing as well.
I can't believe I agree with you all on this, given my generally lukewarm reception to Journeys so far, but this I thought was a phenomenal episode, probably one of the best I've seen so far. I went into it thinking not much of it, but when I finished it, I realized like it was a very touching episode with a good message for kids. I imagine like a lot of kids could probably relate to coming to a new school or feeling isolated from other kids and just not fitting in. Um, and Regina's relationship with the Glacian was really interesting, especially because she basically took a more passive role and hid behind Glaceon, letting it do its thing to protect her, even though she knew it wasn't necessarily healthy. And even a little cool biology fact from Professor Cerise that even though Glaceon's an ice type and it's resistant to cold temperatures, it's still an animal and it still needs to maintain a good body temperature. So all around, it was just a very interesting and very enjoyable episode for me, which I was surprised to see.
Okay. Well, anyone else have some other thoughts about the recent episodes? Recent episodes being 2021's episodes, not the last three that we've had in the PLA special.
Well, I also want to give credit to the Project Mu episode because I think was also similarly a good way to show what a good Go Focus episode can be. I really like it how it leaned a lot on the archaeological exploration side of it, and really liked the way Drake was involved in it, which really it was very interesting. It had a lot of interesting tension. I and really liked the way they really showed how resourceful and crafty Go is, which really is one of his best qualities as a character. So I think that's something I like because after some weird missteps in the first two Project Mu episode, which were never the fault of Go himself. This was the first episode that really showed that a regular Project Mu episode has a lot of potential. And I hope it pays off in the following episode. And also, I'm curious of where this Reggie plotline is going
Yeah,
since they
I'm very much so looking forward to Project Mu. One thing that I will say though that I think a lot of people noted whenever the episode came out was that the episode was even more well structured than the previous Project Mu episodes, which I think were already paced pretty well. So it seems like Yonemura is getting better at writing them. But also, a lot of people felt that the mission itself was kind of bland. Like the actual content of the mission being like about a Kingdra. And a lot of people, like, whenever they opened up Project Mew, they showed off like Gary fighting a Moltres, and there was the Regice encounter and all sorts of things. So I think people are looking for a little more oomph, like a little more spice in the actual contents of the missions. But I do agree with you that it was very, very well structured and really had like the perfect balance between Go's resourcefulness and Ash being useful while not sort of carrying Go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
think
then
doing a very good job avoiding making feel like Ash is basically carrying Go through these missions. Even if by its loose structure, it means that he has more relevance than Go will have during a gym. I mean, a World Coronation Series battle, you know. So, but I think they're doing very well. But just to address your point, I don't think Project New episode need to always be about some special Pokemon per se. Also, even if trying to catch a wild Kingdra is still something that in the games you can only do in Unova. So it's somewhat difficult even in game. But at the same time, I think so long as the episode itself is intriguing, that's enough for a good Project New episode. Of course, if anyone else has thoughts, feel free to share it. Sorry if I am monopolizing the attention some.
yeah,
The
yeah,
mission was more of uh, division wasn't one of a power that wasn't dependent much on power. Akindra is powerful, but generally isn't more powerful than a legendary. But
I thought it
this
was.
mission was uh,
I'm not sure the show usually does it that way in terms of just looking at pure stats. But at any rate, I'm kind of in agreement with V in that it doesn't have to be a legendary. But I do have to assume at some point that if we are covering the Gen 8 DLC stuff, we might. I mean, it's kind of intuitive that Project Mu will eventually build up to working with legendaries eventually. I'm not saying it has to happen immediately, but it's definitely building up towards that stage.
I mean, in terms of difficulty, I thought it was mostly on par with the last mission, which was the, if I remember correctly, it was the Volcarona egg. I thought it was like the amount of danger they had. I think it was mostly the same, but
Yeah,
still, like,
but the danger from that episode was from external source more than anything Rona itself was doing, right? Because of
yeah,
all
yeah.
the poachers. Mm.
the difficulty of this one was this one come from finding the Kindra and battling in its uh, battling under this water.
And I did feel like a good amount of power coming from Kendra, but I mean, either way, I
Yes,
just thought that,
of course.
yeah,
But yeah,
Yeah, Kingdra has consistently shown up in the anime as a fairly powerful Pokemon, usually under a gym leader or Elite Four members' command, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, the difficulty of this felt pretty justified, despite it not being as glamorous as Moltres or Volcarona.
we also kind of just glanced through it, but just seeing Drake was great, and I think he was great in this episode, and also Shelgon. So there's that.
Man, Yumi had the one episode back in Advanced Generations, right? So it's not like there's much to work with.
Yeah, no, I just
Yeah, I mean it's neat, it's nice, but I mean there's not really much else to it.
yeah, there wasn't much, but I just liked his way of, I guess telling. Or I don't remember much from his Advanced Generation appearance, but I just liked his like teacher mode, I guess you could call it, of like trying to guide cash and go right through life in a way, not directly, but still. I just liked that aspect of it.
All right. Well, in that case, I think we should probably move on to the more recent episodes. So we've had 7 episodes in January. So this is definitely a lot more than normal. But I think we can treat the episodes as the three standalone episodes of the normal TV serialization of Journeys.
Oh, okay.
And the PLA special as a whole, really kind of treating it like a movie, because there's a lot to talk about in it, but since they're so interconnected, we can kind of treat it like that. So first
Okay.
off, let's talk about episodes 93 to 95. Personally, I didn't actually like I really enjoyed episode 93, but episodes 94 and 95 were kind of mediocre for me. I didn't like, there were nice little details here and there, but I don't know. I didn't find much to like in them actually, which is kind of surprising because I was looking forward to them a lot. What do you guys think about the
That's
episodes?
right. Right.
I don't think you're I kind of agree. However, just in different shades, because I don't think Francois' episode is pretty nice, aside from some quibbles I have. The Heracross and Pincer episode is a different kind of warmth because I have different thoughts depending on how we see it. And I wasn't very impressed with the Bob and Cassidy episode. Not because he didn't try, however, because I think all three episodes do try some fun things. I just think some were more successful than the others in the end. And I think we should first talk of Rand's day in the life, like to start with, right?
I just got finished watching the Team Rocket episode, and my biggest complaint was just how much of a mess it was. It felt like the episode was moving at a breakneck pace with so many different just things going on all the time.
Yeah.
It's like they just had to keep moving in order to scrunch everything together into 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think that's my biggest issue with it because I do think that the Butch and Cassidy episode, even if it's really more about Team Rocket, as an interesting idea because while we do see a lot of Team Rocket separation episode, this one uses Butch and Cassidy in a very interesting way because basically they show that these former recurring characters eventually settled in quiet living and retired. So if those former recurring character can do it, so why can't our main trio do it too? Which is a way to give the question more weight, which I like in the abstract. But I feel the problem of the episode is really how it begins, because after setting up the premise, we have a lengthy hijinks moment that doesn't really add a lot to the actual theme of the episode, because maybe you can assume that the whole thing with them being eaten by a whaler, and then finding a supposedly sort of mirror, the fact they're kind of stuck in life as well, but it doesn't really work well when Rich and Cassidy already offer that kind of mirroring in a more pertinent way, which was my issue of the episode. It doesn't really add a lot, and it means that the actual okay, maybe we can settle in this life part is sort of made at a breakneck pace, because I actually counted the minutes. The moment between Meow seeing the Meowsy look-alike and then having the heartbreak happens between 4 minutes of distance between each other. That says a lot of the pacing of these episodes, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah, I
that's...
mean, we have
You can go first.
yeah, no, sorry, go ahead, Genesis. I'm kind of blocked up.
Right, right. My opinions on the Rocket episode is that it's it's one it's like one of those Team Rocket splits up episode that we used to have back in DP or XY. it follows that mode, but it does it in a series where we were already kind of lacking on Team Rocket focus to begin with. So it just feels like this episode is just feeling like it's making up for lost time. If I'm being kind of blunt here.
You can also sort of argue that that was the case with the Renji episode, or I'm sorry, Ren episode. Like some people might think that it should have come like way before, but I'm not too sure about that.
Sorry, Cam, you're sounding very distant right now.
Sorry, yeah, I had my mic way back, but yeah, I just said the Ren episode might have been something like that, where people thought it should have been a lot. It should have come like before, right? It should have come sooner, but I don't
I
know.
think
I didn't feel that way.
I think it's something that can be justified in the end because Ren is clearly supposed to be a big character. Ian Kryza's purpose is basically to make it so the laboratory isn't just Ash and Go and sometimes Chloe, and that's fine. But it's nice to see a bit of the fact of why he has this magnemite and why it has this very specific name because usually we don't see nickname in the anime or have some sort of significance. Like Michie, for example, in the Glacier episode, if I am not wrong, is a typical cat name, so to speak. So a typical name. But Francois is very specific, and I do like how they keep the reasoning for the name as a reveal that it's the name of the locale he and Francois met for the first time, which is very cute as a note to end the episode on.
It's a very
But
sweet episode.
really, I do think the
The episode
episode.
made me realize. Sorry, I kind
No,
of
no,
cut into you there, Vera.
I was about to pass the baton, basically. I just wanted to say that the episode is ironically very interesting, less for the down to earth story, even if that's nice to see, but more for the one implication about the Magnemite ecology. So, and I think that's what you wanted to speak about, Cotton.
Well, that and the fact the episode made me realize just how adorable Magnemite is. It made me want a pet Magnemite of my own. Although that'd probably be murder on my electricity bill.
You'll live with it. But I did want to ask you guys about the Team Rocket episode. If you guys watched the subs of the episode, or did you just
Yeah, I
watch?
always watch the subs as soon as I can.
Yeah,
Okay.
same.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, because I haven't watched
sort
it.
of improved my opinion of the episode because I'd really not say it's worthless or anything. It's something I enjoyed, and but I think it really ended up shallower than it should have been, and that's a shame because the ideas were there. There was an interesting thought line and possibility to use it. Well, I haven't used it how the Rocket Prize Master was tied into it, but really, I do think it could have been much better. And really, what I did like what I mentioned of the Batch and Cassidy usage as this sort of mirrors of what could be for the Team Rocket trio. I really feel that the fact that they barely get any screen time and we don't even see much of a reaction of the fact they are now clearly separated. I think they could have been employed better in the teams of this episode. However, I do have to point out a cute detail, which I think not many people noticed. Basically, Batch ended up retiring in Portugal because the stone inscription is a Pokemon version of something you can find in a Portuguese city. I don't recall the exact name, but it's very fascinating. This is where the land ends and the sea begins. It's nothing that really improves the storytelling of the episode, but it's a cute detail.
Portugal is canon in Pokemon.
Yeah, now
Nice.
Portugal is canon.
One other minor detail that kind of rubbed me the wrong way in this episode was that it's the first time since being captured that we see James's Morpeko, and it's being used as like a 5-second gag in a flashback.
In truth,
saw
it's not
Morpeko?
exactly the first time. There was also the underground episode in Drift Vale. which was also mostly so that Ash could have a Pokemon to get lost with.
I don't remember that one.
That was a while back, to be fair. So
Yeah,
Okay.
it's that's still
It
yeah,
was
that
memorable.
nature of the journeys sometimes make some episode blur with each other. So
That's for
it's not,
Yeah.
yeah,
Kiro
it's
Blitz in
the
the
biggest
chat said
problem.
that he posted that. So yeah, thanks for calling that out, Kiro.
Hmm. Well, that's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah, that's really
I don't know if
cool.
you guys
Hmm.
saw like the Anipoke Twitter. They usually post like a small screen, like original fan art, I guess you could call it.
Yeah,
And
the
they
comics.
showed Morpeko. Yeah, it was
Yeah, they
very cute.
did.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Did let Cotton say that Morpeko was in this episode? Because I didn't catch it.
It was
Yeah, it was in.
in a very
He
small
was the
part.
reason why James left Cassidy at the bakery.
Oh, okay. I totally missed it. I'm gonna rewatch it.
Yeah, but
I
I think
need
that's
more
just
Peko. I don't know why we
that's just
haven't gotten.
honestly a product of how just fast paced and how much they had to cram into this episode that you didn't even notice it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I felt they could have done a little bit more with Butch and Cassidy, even if they were being used to show that there was, I guess, more to life than Team Rocket. But they were only there for just a few minutes before the trio had to move on, which I thought was unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it's not all bad. Like Vero said, it's just it doesn't hit as hard as I would have wanted it, at least personally. But
Well, especially for us longtime fans, where we've seen Team Rocket breakup episodes like this and know how they end inevitably. So
Yeah.
I'm sure for a younger audience, it would have more weight.
Would it?
Well,
Like
yeah,
we kind of established
it
Team Rocket as
would.
more focused this.
Whenever I watched the first of these in like DP, I believe, I thought they were gonna break up for good, and I was like freaking out when I was a kid. But that's just that's my personal anecdote with it.
and then they appeared for every episode of the series.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't quite hit as much when you just don't see them that often to begin with, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So
So
how about
yeah,
the Erica episode?
the Eric
Because we
episode.
because we've gone very deep on.
We are kind of jumping the gun a bit in talking a lot of Butch and Cassidy. We
Nah,
should.
I mean, we were talking
It's
about them.
fine, it's
We
fine.
were kind of talking about them as like an omnibus, but yeah, I think the Eric episode was okay, I guess. I don't know. I didn't find it that interesting. There was some nice continuity with the original series. And I really liked the Erica's gym redesign. I mean, I think this is a little bit of a controversial opinion, but I actually like the modern gym, like the complete, like modern aesthetic, as compared to like the stylized versions from the previous series. I don't know.
like to point out something. It's important to note that the original gym was one of the only one that was actually destroyed during the original
Yeah,
series. So,
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I thought a redesign made a lot of sense in that context.
yeah, I can't see Erica deciding to be more practical than the flashy, so to speak. Especially if you notice that it seems like the greenhouse now is separated from the actual gym. So
Yeah,
that keeping more.
learning from past mistakes.
Yeah.
Someone can't
However,
get in an
say
arson to arson.
I will say basically that it's important to say. I think that the episode, if you see it as a filler focused on Pincer, it's fairly nice. If you see it as an evolution episode, it's kind of a mixed bag, in my opinion. But mostly because the lithium stuff is very incidental. So pretty much you see it. You see it have the typical elements of an evolution episode, like Chloe being interested to go somewhere, then Eevee wanting to emulate Leafeon, mimicking a move using Copycat, and then gaining something out of it. But it's really an aside of the episode rather
Yeah.
than something very important. However, I will say I really liked the fact that, in truth, Chloe was about to go there by herself rather than being dragged along, which I think is a good showing that she's getting more outgoing, pretty much. So it's a good way to show that she is growing slowly, even if we see mostly baby steps we see incidentally. But that's something good of the episode. However, I will say that I really liked the way they handled Erika here. She's unfortunately a character that has a bad reputation for some writing decisions that were made in the original series. But I really liked the fact that they actually sort of poked fun of to Erica's characterization in that episode, because if you notice, there is the point where she seems offended about the fact that Go wants to use the flower arrangements to win the heart of a Pokemon with his own, and in the end, goes goes, oh crap, I made her mad, and no, she was actually very happy about it. That's a nice bait and switch, in my opinion.
I
A little bit of a
really,
missed opportunity,
I
maybe
actually
with Chloe.
laughed out loud at the ending of the episode in which Pinsir like picks up Heracross and like starts like throwing it around. That was
I
very
mean,
funny.
it was funny, and it's basically the meme where I don't know, someone suplexes
Yeah,
their loved one.
yeah, it's
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 basically
very
that.
funny because Pinsir. Okay, I get it. Never mind.
Pincer in general is just such a point of comedy, in my opinion. It's just so funny to see such a huge, fierce Pokemon like Pincer, like acting like a blushing schoolgirl.
Yes, yeah, it was great. I love
Honestly,
Pinsir.
Pinsir, what something I like is also the fact that Pinsir and Heracross was a background element for several episodes. So when this episode comes in, it's something that you are somewhat invested in, since they were minor characters that were you wanted to see how this went. And I really
Yeah,
agree with
it's nice that it's
Cotton.
a recurring plotline.
Yeah. I really like what Cotton said, that really it's a complete anti-typecast of the Pinsir line, rather than this fearsome Pokemon is just she's just a blushing schoolgirl, and it's really hilarious. And it's even more hilarious where how the episode ended, where instead of getting a nice, cute, and holding, she basically took Heracross in a pincer maneuver. It was hilarious for the sheer contrast.
Hey, maybe that's just how Pincer display affection.
Cotton, tell me, how accurate is it? Is this to bug ecology?
Well, first of all, only male stag beetles have the horns, and they use them to shove around other males to win females. So this wouldn't happen in nature, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, nature is wrong in this case.
True love can transcend nature.
Yeah.
All
There
right.
was the like the Leafeon aspect of it we didn't really talk about, but like there wasn't much about it, so
Yeah,
probably why.
there wasn't really much to talk about with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in that case, I think we can move on to the Pokemon Legends Arceus special that
I
aired.
will say something, Mutisi, just to close everything, just a bit of word on the Francois episode, just because
Okay.
there is one element we didn't talk, the gigantic composite Magnemite
That was a
Eldritch.
straight up Kirby boss, dude. Like, actually.
Yeah. No, I really love that fact, because while I do like the down to earth story, I really like the way this episode mixed the realistic with the fantastic. Basically, we see what something that happens in our world, so like a solar storm, would affect something like the Pokemon world, with all this Magnemite going wild and getting this strong urge to evolve in a form that doesn't exist in the games. That's really fascinating stuff that really makes a nice sense when given Journey's research bent. That's something that made it very interesting, even if it was an aside. Just
Maybe.
I like
Sorry,
the
were you?
no, I
Sorry,
just
were you
wanted to say
continuing?
something that I mentioned it before the podcast started, but because it's something I really like it the way Ash just says with a straight face the whole extremely long name of the new Magnemite form, just the ultra mega rare call. I'm sorry if I'm getting wrong, but props to Rika Matsumoto for selling it with such natural delivery. That made it all the funnier.
Maybe because there were so many magnemite in a condensed area, their combined magnetism started warping the Earth's magnetic field and creating a rift in space time, causing them to seemingly transform into this eldritch entity of unknown power.
Base.
Let's not forget
Or
that we
maybe,
also saw. Let's
or
not
maybe
forget.
the Magnemites we know are just fragments of the real Magnemite that they they almost become. They almost become.
We did it, guys. That's the conspiracy of this episode. We did it.
All right.
The lore of the Magnemites.
So does anyone else have stuff to say about the recently aired episodes before we discuss the PLA special?
Let's not forget. This is maybe the last thing. Let's not forget the What was it? The sorry, the
I think
Unava episode.
no, I think we no there's not Unova episode that we haven't covered from my remember. We only have the Alistair and the Delga and Palkia arcs,
We
which I
talked
think
about that earlier.
yeah, I
But
think
yeah.
we can mention a bit more about those when we move in the upcoming
Yeah, in the
stuff and
upcoming stuff, yeah. All right,
yeah,
so in
I
that
think we will
case,
do a lot.
let's move up to the PLA special. So these were a four-part special arc that aired on Amazon Prime, and honestly, I think it was amazing. It was actually probably the best arc in Journey so far. Like it was
I
better
haven't
than
seen it yet, but I've heard a lot of good things.
yeah. It
Okay.
hasn't been subbed yet, so I think a lot of people haven't seen it. But I
Only
watched
2 parts have been
yeah.
subbed.
It's been halfway sub. So a lot of people haven't seen it. They're waiting for the whole thing to watch it. But it was I think the best arc in Journeys. Like better than any of the previous Diamond Pearl arcs, better than the Darkest Day arc. It was really, really good.
To be
Yeah,
fair, that's not a very high bar to overcome.
Yeah.
in
Yeah, no, it
fairness, I do
was.
I like some elements of stuff like the Dark and Cresselia arc with the
Yeah,
Chloe
there
and
yeah, it's
Down
not I'm not saying
interaction. But
that
I do think, yeah,
I'm
I
not
do. I
saying
was
that
just
it's
sitting in, sorry, in with.
it's
I
fine.
just wanted to say pretty much that I feel that as it is, this is the best action arc of Journeys, and I think really it shows that who worked on it because really this was a dream team effort for the most part. We had some of our best staff members. So also importantly, we had Atsuhiro Tomioka writing the script for all four parts, which I think is important because Tomioka was the head writer from Diamond and Pearl to X and Y, and so is someone that really you want to bring up when you are cling an art based on one of his shows, so to speak. Because
Mhm.
one an important thing is that during Journeys proper is been mostly used during the World Coronation series episode, with the lone exception of the Mega Stone episode, which we discussed at length in the past. But I do think that he did a very, very great effort because one thing I really liked of this special is that it really feels like a blast of the past, even if it's set in journeys clearly. it really feels like it wants to make you remember the Diamond and Pearl series, especially when the first episode opens with a rendition of Ash's theme in Diamond and Pearl. And then you have a lot of Miyazaki music, including a new track that is used as the opening theme and the closing theme of the remainder of the parts. It really sells you the idea, okay, this is a Diamond and Pearl reunion special. And it really works well, I feel.
Yeah, I do
Right.
agree. Sorry, you want to go?
No, that's great. You can go first.
So I do really agree that I think it really does show that this is oddly the first Diamond and Pearl related episode that Tomioka has written in Journeys, even though we've had like 4 of them previously. So it really does show, really, like there were so many aspects to it. I mean, not counting the various like small references, but even stuff like Brock or the interactions between Ash and Dawn, they nailed it this time. Previously in some of the other specials, some people noted that some of Dawn's character traits were sort of either like overly accentuated or drawn back. And I feel like in this special, Dawn's character was pretty much spot on. Like it was pretty much perfect. The way she interacted with Ash and Go and the way that she acted overall was perfect. So I really did enjoy it. Not to mention, of course, the amazing action scenes and Team
Yeah.
Galactic as
I do
well.
think I do think one small problem we have is the fact that the third and fourth episode haven't been subbed yet. So maybe we may miss some nuance or details. But I think, on a pure action standpoint, they were really great episode that really brought the story to a satisfying conclusion. But I do feel that Tomioka's presence is really noticeable because you can feel a sort of old school feel from this art that you don't really see a lot from modern arts. Even the way it's set up, like for example, the usage of some MacGuffin that is the key toward the art, which in this case is the flame plate that turns Hitran in this sort of eldritch creature. That's two eldritch creatures in one Egghead podcast episode, just to put it on record. But joking aside, I really liked the way they sort of created this gigantic power. Just it really sells the idea that the plates are pieces of God's power, pretty much. And I really like it also something that very small, but they actually used the same design for the plates as the Arceus and the Jewel of Life movie, which was nice continuity since you'd think, of course, that there is only one Arceus. So, of course, if this ended up being inconsistent, it would have raised a lot of questions, even if we know the consistency isn't the strongest suit of this whole anime in general.
And
Really, it's something I really like it. And really helped selling the idea that this is a DPN course, so to speak. But I also really liked the first part was mostly just the let's get the Amazon and the Legends Arceus promotion out of the way episode. But I really liked how it was just a low stakes hijinks to give us some small interactions with Don and Cynthia that we couldn't have in previous episodes. So I really liked it all the same, even if perhaps it starts the episode in a sort of slow way, we could see.
yes.
But I don't think it penalizes the actual special too much.
You said that Heatran was transformed because of the flame plate.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
pretty
ate the
much.
flame plate, and
Pretty much.
So
in
in the games, those are equipable items. So what if that's what's happening in the game when you equip your Pokemon with one of those plates?
oh
I
god,
think it's so comparable.
Imagine if you give your Raichu, for example, the electric plate, and it just turns into a living lightning bolt.
It's
Maybe,
actually
but it's really
fun.
not. I don't think
I'm gone for a few minutes, and
every
the
slide.
podcast has the podcast went down the insanity train.
Okay.
I mean, someone should do that. Someone should make the electric plate write you. Get on that, people.
Yeah,
I
I
do
just I do have some
feel
stuff.
free to go, Genesis. I'm just waiting for you.
Okay, thank you. I do have some thoughts on this special. I think the best way to do it, like how we put it, is split. The special can basically is split into two parts. The first part is what V has gone through, which is all the good DP stuff. We have all the good continuity. We have a good action arc. We do get some interesting experimentation with what the law of the anime can give to us. And on the other side is the L- Legends Arceus promotional stuff, which I think kind of suffers from the fact that they can only show us what the trailers have shown us. And that doesn't give the specials a lot to work with.
Cynthia is not enough for you.
It's not so that's not enough. It's that we basically
I was
see
just joking.
everything. Sorry, it's we basically see everything by the end of the first special episode. And
Yeah, that's
it's not,
Actually,
fair.
yeah,
if I can say my piece, I actually don't think it's a strength of the episode because while I do think they could have used the Yuzuian elements better than just one small history lesson and then a cameo of Ray at the very end. But I do think
it's
that
a
it was the
yeah.
special advantage because it feels like something unique. It's something of its own. It's not something that's made solely to sell the product. Of course, we know it exists solely to sell you the product, but I do feel that the staff cared to make an interesting and enjoyable story. And I think that's very important because really, I do like how it's really handled because once the story gets going, they really make sure that, in spite of the fact that we have several legendaries and a mythical involved, that the story doesn't rely on them solving everything. They cooperate with with our main characters to arrive to fulfill the mission. And I think that's something really good. And I also like it as the way in the second episode, also we get the Lake Guardians informing Ash, Dan, and Go of what's going on. They Go is basically freaking out something first about what's happening, while Ash and Dan are like, "Oh, it's the Lake Guardians. Oh, and Arches is here too." And then Go just goes, "How can you be so calm?" It was hilarious in a very fun way. It just shows who has been at this longer than he has. Not
Yeah,
to
I was wondering that too. Actually,
Expression.
when I saw that in the trailer, I was wondering if how like Ash and Dawn would react versus Go, and I'm happy that they acknowledged that the stuff that Ash and Dawn have done multiple times is kind of not normal for people to do. So Go was kind of freaking out, which makes sense. Oh boy, what the? Okay, sorry about that
Oh yeah,
notification noise.
we we've met God. We're on good terms. He's no
Yeah,
big deal.
yeah, we
First name
chillin'.
basis.
I love that moment.
Yeah.
okay. Just
By the way,
Another one
I
where
love. By the way,
something
Van
other
Broek,
than I had.
What's up,
There
Battle?
was something else.
Van Broek made the comment that me and I and Ash go way back. Like it's just 10. How long do they go back?
Yeah.
Well, I want to mention also something that I really liked about special is that it really connects to the past in a deeper way than Journeys always does. Because while Journeys does indulge in continuity a bit more than the typical Pokemon anime series, but for obvious reason needs to stay a bit simplistic. because of course it still needs to make sense to the general audience, and that's okay. You can't really have a continuity porn series without really bleeding viewers and becoming too self-referential, which is already a small issue that Journeys occasionally goes. But I really like it that since this is something else, something made by people that will probably seek this special out to begin with, they really made clear that this is a sequel to the Team Galactic arc by actually making their mission to open the portal that Cyrus got lost in to reunite with him. But this is also one of the few things I have an issue with of this special, specifically the fact that one important thing during the Galactic arc climax is that Saturn understood that Cyrus just used them and even declared that Team Galactic was finished. And unless the third and fourth episode addressed this, I feel that this special just snapped him back to becoming a Cyrus true believer because that's what his character usually is for most of the main game during the Sinnoh games. And that's a shame because I liked how it connects to the past. I liked even small details like the fact that Oreburg City, when seen from its establishment, looks just like it did in Diamond and Pearl, even having the bridge near it, even if now it's not much red and it's very gray. It's kind of concerning. I hope someone fixes that. But speaking seriously, I do think that it's just a bit of a shame. I think they could have made something interesting. Perhaps he was in denial and wanted to open the portal just so he could ask Cyrus, why did you leave us behind? Did you really not care about us? Just something a bit more complex. But I also do understand that on a marketing perspective, the Galactic Commanders are a trio. Also, of course, they had used all three of them, and they clearly didn't want to give in some deep character exploration. They are just threats that were easy to set up. So while I do wish there was more direct character consistency, I do feel that it served its role well. It's just a shame that it's just one of those things. Just I wish this was a bit better, but that's just a small thing. It's a nitpick because I really liked the special. And really, something we haven't mentioned yet, I really enjoyed how Brock was used in this special because really, while this special, much like the prior ones down appeared in, is mostly action packed, they really managed to still insert some small inklings to tell us that Brock progressed as a character, which I really
Yeah,
like.
which brings us to the opposite that seemingly, at least externally and visually, Dawn has not progressed, like either in her goals or her Pokemon evolving, which has been a really, which has been a
Yeah.
very
I
big
mean,
point of contention in the fandom, I think, over
can
the past few
I mention
months.
something, Mut? If it's not so, since you mentioned it, I wanted to sign in because I really heard it a lot, and I am really very. It's something I feel something about. I really think that evolving Dawn's Pokemon really doesn't really do a lot to a
Yeah.
character. I know for sure that someone will yell at me for thinking this, but it's just how I feel. She doesn't really gain a lot by just getting an evolution. I do feel that they could give us an update on our contest career, which would be actually be possible to briefly mention and to use. But I don't feel that her not having any evolution means a lot to her character, really. It's mostly that she's very tied to contest. And as we can see, one problem that the anime always faces is that it often ends up needing to update things either stealthily or more clearly to how they are in the games in later series. So they need to recreate how contests went, and clearly they either don't want or can't. So they are trying to sort of write around actually showing contests directly, which is a shame. And I think it does cause some problems, down is not really mentioned in progression. But I do feel that, in the sense, the actual evolution over Pokemon isn't really the hallmark against her growth. What really is the fact that she mostly appears in this special to be a guest star, pretty much. That's the real problem. But I do think that in the special, the arc that really used, sorry if I used special and arc interchangeably. I got a bit confused between this special and the previous arc. Sorry, but in the Darker and Cresselia arc, I really liked the way they used her to speak to Chloe of how they feel in regards to respective parents, which I think was a good usage of Dawn. But I do agree that she mostly has been used to progress other stories or just to be a guest star rather than actually progressing her character. But I do think she's in a tricky situation where they can't really do a lot with her, and that's a shame. I'm not saying this to defend It's something just that needs to be put in its rightful context, if you can say. Of course, I hope I didn't come across as too preachy, and of course, if you feel differently, that's fine. I want this to be clear. Sorry if I seem any kind of forceful. Sorry.
It's fine. It's fine. I do have some thoughts on this. It's a lot briefer, but okay. Those who goes revolve our contestants. She doesn't really need to evolve her Pokemon for that. And I think it's like people just seem to think, oh, evolve Pokemon because oh, there's progression, there's a forward progression of time. And if they don't evolve their Pokemon, that means they're stagnant or something. And I don't really agree with this sentiment, I would say.
In a way, like to me at least, it seems similar to the issue of I guess some people not liking the way that not everything that Ash has done has been referenced, like overly referencing the past, I guess. It feels similar to this problem in the way that they don't really have shown, right, that Dawn has grown. And I guess people want them to show, but that doesn't mean that she hasn't progressed, right? Or
Like
we just don't know, right?
it's a
So
bit tricky to show Dawn progressing in current year because current year Gen 8 doesn't have contestants. So to show her doing contestants in a generation where there is none, it's a bit
I mean,
well, it's
honestly, they could go with the sort of okay, I don't know if it would be good, but they could go with the Irish treatment, and Dawn could just like show like her ribbon case with the ribbons, the new ribbons she's gotten, and maybe she's already won the grand festival off screen. And there is a like a contest master thing after Tom Coordinator, right? Like there's like a some cup circuit or something in which top coordinators compete to become a contest master like Wallace.
I
I
mean,
mean, this is
Actually, I don't think they actually explained how you become a contest master in the end. It's just something that Wallace has, but wasn't elaborated on. We just know that you become a top coordinator if you win a grand festival. I do think, however, that really it will be just nice to see a bit of an update of how she's doing. Just give us just have her mention how she's doing, what she's facing, just something quick. Also, because I think now that it's clear that it's possible for non-game character to return with Butch and Cassidy, they could really do the same. Of course, given promotions, I don't feel we'll see Dawn again, but I do think that in terms of what the special does for her, why it doesn't really progress her character, it does leave her in a good note if this is the last we see of her in Journey, save potential cameos later down the line. But I wanted to say, however, just so we don't lose too much focus on something, I would really like to talk of how Brock was handled, especially if it's not a problem.
No
it's
problem.
fine.
After that, we're gonna move on to the new episode like info.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Just because I think we should mention a bit Brock and then remaining details before we move on. But we
Yeah.
already covered a lot of it. I will say that Brock was used well because you can really see that while they don't explicitly say if he's actually a doctor right now or he's just still doing an internship, I really do feel that this feels like a Dr. Brock fully formed, so to speak, which is something I liked because it really employed him well. I even liked his hovercraft, which while is weird to think about that uses an entire hovercraft for house rules. It was just something that says, okay, this is something he does routinely. And I really liked the fact that we see that Chansey evolved in Glacier and also especially the return of Krogan, because really, of all the choices that Sun and Moon made, one that they never really understood was why Krogan never got an appearance, because in spite of how Diamond and Pearl Brock tends to be criticized, Krogan is a massively popular Pokemon of his that
I
basically
think you know why
everyone.
Krogan wasn't in that episode because Misty was already there.
Well, yeah, I admit that's reasoning. Though, just beyond that, I feel it's also that Sun and Moon wanted to focus a bit more on him being a former rock type gym leader, while this return was more tailored to pretty much Diamond and Pearl Brock rather than original series Brock. Of course, Sun and Moon still alluded to his doctor career, so I don't want to pretend that Sun and Moon completely, don't misconstrue it. But I
They
really
had
like
an entire episode.
the progression of what BP set up for him, which I really liked. However, in fact, if I can say, I really like how it showed that he's a good trainer. I even like it that they briefly reminded that Brock Strogan has a rivalry with Saturn's Toxicroak, which is a nice bit of continuity. And really, it is helpful, is resourceful. He clearly cares for us and down. And I also like it the way for once Go got to get along with a male companion or friend of Ash without ending up in a weird scuffle with them, which was nice to see. Also, because this is something that's been discussed, and I'd like to say in as well. I really do feel that. I really like how Go is written as a character because I really feel he's a good portrayal of someone who is socially awkward and anxious. And I really feel that there was this take I saw on Twitter that claimed that him being all happy of meeting Brock was inconsistent with him being standoffish and not liking making friends, but which I think ignores how we grew since the earliest episode, and also the fact that he was clearly meeting this cool friend of Ash he heard about, and he probably already thought was neat. So he was at ease, and it's clear that he'd be happy and not be standoffish to meet Brock, pretty much. He was at ease, and that's very important because when you are socially awkward, when you have problem socializing, it's not that you are constantly, okay, I don't like the word, I will just stay on my own. No, it's more a question of how at ease you are. Pretty much when you are put in a state of mind where you go, okay, I am fine. I am with people that care for me and I am relaxed. You can be just as exuberant as any extrovert. And I really like this nuance of ghost writing, which is really just something I wanted to wish about, I admit. This is mostly me talking of my own experience, so perhaps there is a bit of projection, but it's something I enjoy. I apologize if I'm speaking a storm, whoever.
No, you're
I hope
good.
I.
Fine.
Yeah, I thought those were good points about
Uh-huh,
Go.
I agree.
Okay.
So, in that case, let's move
Uh,
on
I
to.
want
Oh,
I want to talk about something too.
okay, sure.
Oh,
Uh,
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Saturn was the purple head, right?
No, that's
Uh,
Jupiter.
Jupiter, yeah. Jupiter, I haven't watched the third and fourth episodes, but from what I have seen, Jupiter is the only one with any brain cells in that organization. Like,
Okay.
Jupiter is the only one that questions uh, using a legendary Pokemon to power energy machine thingamake inside their base. Like
Well, yeah. Pokemon villains
the
are not
others
the
are
smartest. So.
just jump.
Dude,
Here's the question.
the saddest thing about the Heatran thing was it looked like Heatran was actually willing to accept Saturn as his trainer before Saturn did that thing to it. Damn, I was sad.
I don't think, that
Saturn
Then
could have just walked away with a Heatran, but no.
well, admittedly, in this case, I do think that Hitran is justified because it was always treated as a bit of a lesser legendary,
Oh
even in
yeah,
the
yeah,
Jewel of
yeah.
Light,
But
some kind of slave for the in the past.
yeah,
And of course, we don't
I
forget-
don't think it was
no,
like that.
mm,
Like,
sorry, sorry,
oh,
Mut.
you're good.
No, no, I was just wanted to mention one thing just because it's very important. It's the most crucial thing of this podcast so far. Remember that we had the infamous moment where Hakitran was just chilling in line for the Lily of the Valley conference,
Yeah.
just in the who owned it? Who was the owner of that Hitran and why did it not make news in the same conference that Darkrai was in? What
Cause
was the story of that
Darkrai
Hitran?
beat the crap out of it. That's why.
probably
That's my
that was
headcanon. That
that way
Darkrai
is
I
beat it.
that
That
way.
was
I
the
feel
cutest match possible, and we never saw it. That's the biggest mistake of the Diamond and Pearl anime. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules.
Fine, it's fine. Honestly, this special has done more for Hitran than the rest of the anime has done for Hitran in the
Yeah,
past 20 odd
true.
years. This is the first time
I
he
feel like
gets a starring role.
I feel like Heatran being a more minor legendary is also supported by some things in the games. We see it in, I think, multiple volcano locations across different regions. And it's also one of the only legendaries to have a confirmed gender ratio, which, in my opinion, implies that it's like more common and more well studied, that they're able to tell the different genders apart.
Mm-hmm.
It has a gender.
Yeah, they can be male or female.
Yeah.
That's a surprising info.
Oh, it
It's
does.
just a frog. I don't know what's. So I'm just.
It's
I'm
just
just
I am
guessing.
it's just a
I'm
lava
wondering
frog.
In law, you know? Right?
what makes it legendary then,
um
apart from game info.
it's really strong and probably has legends written about it. Like that's what legendaries are. Like legendary isn't like a title. It's like something it's like just something about the Pokemon. It has legends and stuff written about it that
Yeah.
result in it
Yeah,
being
but have you seen any
legendary.
of them?
Admit one of the problems is that in later generations, even if it's not quite the case for generation 4, that by now Game Freak just arbitrarily gives the title of legendary and mythical to anything that strikes their fancy, so to speak. But admittedly, when you reach God in the halfway in the life cycle of the franchise, you can only go down from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Although it's fair to mention that Arceus is only really mentioned in Sinnoh,
Yeah.
implying that there are probably like other religions across the world that worship other legendary Pokemon as gods too.
Yeah, the religion in the Pokemon world is an interesting subject, especially if one plays Legends Arcs, which I won't spoil because I don't know who's playing it here, but there is something interesting done there.
I will be honest, if we don't get a boss like Hitran Extreme in Pokemon in the game in the Legends game, I think I might be a moderate disappointed. I think. I mean,
Heatran's new Mega Evolution.
oh,
I want to talk about so much, but I can't because
in the
spoilers.
special. If it doesn't show up in the game, I like you can't just show something so awesome to us and then just not give it to us. I'm just saying.
Let's just. Moot, do you want to spoil anything?
Regarding what the games?
Yeah, or anything.
Legends
Anything.
Arceus.
It came out Friday, right? Came out Friday.
Yeah, it came
28th.
out. I haven't actually caught Heatran yet, so I don't know.
Yeah, I think everyone's
But
still in the early game.
but yeah, so let's move on then to the upcoming
Just one,
episodes.
Huh?
just
Be-
one, just so we covered everything of the Legend Archive special, just the climax of it. Just the only thing we
oh,
haven't mentioned.
I forgot about that.
Sorry.
Nice. You can go
Just,
first.
I really liked it how it concluded because, as I mentioned, I really liked it that we see Ash, Dawn, and Go cooperate with the Lake Guardians first, and then Arceus himself. We also see Cynthia having a good showing with her Roserade, which I'm curious if it's supposed to set up a Pokemon she may use when she will face Ash or not, but it's nice to see another Pokemon of hers. And then, of course, I really liked the fact that Arceus, I know that Arceus pronunciation is always a hot button, so just bear with my likely wrong pronunciation. What I wanted to mention is the fact that in spite of having God itself descend from the heavens to put an end to the conflict. They don't treat him as a literal Deus ex machina, which happened twice, which was a bit of a problem in the Elgin Palkia special, which had a problem that at the very end they had to pretty much send their love to Pokemon and an apparition of Arceus solved everything. Here it's not like that. It does set up a chance for the cast to save Heatran from the inside of the lava form, but at the same time, it doesn't do all the work. That's all on Ash and his plan. And I really liked how Ash was portrayed in the special, really. Is resolute, is clever, and really they never really interrupt the action for comedy at ill-timed moments. It's all fairly consistent, and I really liked what he did. But I also liked that there was this sort of implication that Arceus is willing to cooperate with Ash and Down, which even without an explicit note confirms that the events of Arceus and the Jewel of Life are knowledge. Also, even if, of course, it's a shame that it's obviously clear they either couldn't or wouldn't want to hire his previous voice actor because, of course, he didn't speak, even if the character were clearly understanding Arceus' words, which was a bit of a distracting thing. Just a small thing that makes you go, okay, that's on the staff not being able to do this thing rather than not wanting to be consistent. Just a small thing. But I really liked the whole conclusion. It was something akin to the megalith climb in X and Y. You know, even you had this very cool moment where Ash flips his cap, which is always a sign of I am going to do something very cool, which I liked seeing back after quite a while before
Oh,
since we last did it.
I think you have to compare this special to the other arcs we had in GN thus far. I mean, this is leagues ahead of everything else. Just based off what we went over just now. We don't we don't ha- we, with this set of specials we don't see like the legendaries being so overwhelmingly powerful to the point of that they just stop the threat on their own, or we don't need a Deus Ex Machina like with the single specials where they literally have to pray for Arceus to come down to stop time and space from breaking down and whatnot. No, it's like here Ash is taking action. Ash is the protagonist. He's actually doing something to help with his. He's doing something to help save the day. Whereas as opposed to being just there when the day is being saved. If you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I get it.
And
I do
something I
think
really like.
that there was some praying to Arceus even in the PLA special. There was in the 4th episode, But yeah, Ash had a lot more agency in resolving the conflict in this episode than the previous special, which was definitely
I
nice.
do like, however, that in spite of him having agency, they didn't make this in the Ash show featuring some other guys, since Don and Go both help out in significant ways during the final rescue alongside the Lake Guardians. It really felt like a team effort where everyone was important, which is very good for this sort of special. In fact, my one small thing is that I wish they had found a way to have Brock take part too, just so the whole quartet was involved, since this was also a bit of a reunion for the Diamond and Pearl era again, which I don't think Brock was used poorly. So I do think he was used well. Just something I wish, just to give more oomph to this finale. But I did like the fact that after three was special, we finally got the trademark high five between Ash and Don, which was basically their trademark gesture, and yet we didn't really see before, which I could understand, but it's nice to see it acknowledged. Just a little gesture that means a lot both to the character and to the viewers. So it was a very nice thing to give us as the final interaction between Ash and Don, which I really feel, in general, I think fans of Ash and Don's relationship really ate well in this special. I especially like this bit, which even without subs, you can tell that Ash is telling Don that they will be fine, that there is no need to worry, and she's the one that's kind of pessimistic for a bit,
Yeah.
and then she decided, okay, you are right, we'll be fine. It's just a small, cute role reversal, which is really nice to see, really.
All
And
right.
my only final criticism, and sorry if I am basically keeping the talk here, is just I wish they explained why Brock removed this shirt in the end, because he just did it for the hell of it. Which, okay, it's a reference to the Gen One games, but he didn't used to do it. And when he did it in Sun and Moon, it was mildly justified by him about to use Mega Evolution. But here, in spite of having Stilix, he didn't use it, which I don't think is a major issue, because there wasn't really a situation where Mega Stilix was absolutely important, but it's still noticeable because why wouldn't you employ it? Pretty much, it's just weird, but it's just a small thing. Otherwise, I really love it. The special, even with some issues, it was a good time and something I'd recommend every Pokemon fan to
Understood.
watch. Really. And sorry for monopolizing the conversation too
No,
much.
I
Sorry.
think we do have to move on now.
Alright.
We should talk about the upcoming stuff. So we have 4 episodes with no breaks in February. Starting with Sophocles, episode 96. Episode 97 features Sato King, The Return. This time for a
God.
full
Yes.
episode, so it seems that uh, episode 26 and the Sato King part of that was so popular that they decided to make a full episode of it. And then we have a mystery episode, episode 98. Now, we don't actually know what's in this episode. They have not announced the title and anything. Spoon to the Eye, which just came out like a couple hours ago, also does not have the title for 98 nor 100. So we're kind of sitting here waiting. And then finally there's episode 99 airing on the 25th. This is of course the episode that everyone's been talking about, Marnie in Spike Town or Spikemouth. So this is the episode that will introduce Marnie and Piers to the anime, and is also the first part of Ash's third hyperclass battle, that being against Marnie. we had a lot of news come out in the last few days about this episode, which we're gonna cover later on. But for now, let's talk about Sophocles. So this
I've legitimately never been so excited for a returning character.
yeah, I'm pretty excited too.
I,
It's gonna be pretty good.
anyone who knows me knows that my feelings about Sun and Moon are somewhat complicated, but I will say it simply. I am extremely excited and very optimistic that the next episode will be great because for me, Sophocles is my favorite member of the Sun and Moon Gang, and I'm very, very happy that they're following through with an episode with him outside the Lola, following his own passions, which I really, really like, especially for its premise, because it fits in helping out an Ampharos with confidence issue that needs to help for a project of a landing of an asteroid retrieval. Earth Retrieval, which I really like because it involves him, someone that once suffered of low confidence, helping a Pokemon with low confidence on itself, light in the dark, which, as we know, was one of Sophocles' fears in the Sun and Moon series. Just it feels like a natural result of the progress he had in the Sun and Moon series, and I'm happy to see an episode that feels like a natural extension. I don't feel like this is an episode that is just riding on the return. It feels like a direct something that follows through from what we saw before. It's natural, and I really like it for that. And as I said, I really like Sophocles as a character. I think he's a character that he didn't get to be in a lot of people's minds since he tended to get relatively few amount of episodes, but I think the episode we did get were some of the best in Sun and Moon. So I am happy for him, really. And I look forward to what a cameo mode will bring us with this episode, really. I'm just very
Yeah,
excited.
this episode has a lot of potential for more character growth in Sophocles, which, like you said, which I agree with you. He was one of my favorite parts of Sun and Moon.
Yeah, I mean, back then, when I first watched Sun and Moon, I kind of thought he didn't have a lot to go up. He didn't have a lot to go for him, but I mean, in all respects, he's a late bloomer in terms of his character development. But when he did get going, it got going, and that he got a very solid character arc of overcoming his fears and gaining more confidence. And I mean, I appreciate that. And not and he bringing him over, bring him outside of Alola to take part in something that's not something he's done before. I appreciate that because it's doing something new with him as opposed to hashing old ground or having character regression happen to him, which is something I think we a lot of us have some concerns about with returning characters. But this, I like this, despite my personal opinions towards Sun and Moon. I'm very much looking forward to this upcoming episode. Mm, Is anyone else have anything to add? Or
I think that overall, I'm very much looking forward to this episode, as I think that out of the characters, out of the companions that Ash has, I think the previous companions that Ash has had, I think Go will have really good chemistry with Sophocles, since they're both kind of like, kind of nerdy and like to research and build stuff. So I do think that they will have good chemistry with each other. So I'm excited to see that. And yeah, I'm very excited to see Sophocles again. The person writing the episode is Amode, who's of course a very accomplished writer in on the OLM staff. So I'm very excited. I think this episode is going to be really good.
Yeah, my only small grievance, but much like the Legends Archview special ones, it's just a small nitpick. It's just a shame that it's obviously an episode that does a lot of for Sophocles, but doesn't really do a lot to Journey's main story as a whole, aside from the possibility of go catching something. But it's okay. It's an episode about Sophocles. Since we know what kind of show Journeys is by now, that's perfectly okay. It's pretty much a filler episode in the context of Journeys. Of course, I'm using the filler incorrectly, but you know what I'm using it for. But in the terms of Sophocles as a character, it's an important possible step forward, and I really hope it delivers. That's not to say that this episode won't be good, quite the opposite. I have the biggest expectation of it, and I am fairly sure they will be matched. Of course, I hope we won't come back in the next podcast to talk about how disappointed I was, which I
Oh
hope
my
won't be the case.
god. Dude, I do think the next podcast we'll probably hold it in a couple of weeks. So I think the meat of what we'll be talking about is going to be the Sophocles episode. So I think we'll have a lot to talk about. I think it's going to be very interesting because companion
Yeah,
episodes are almost always interesting because you get to kind of dissect the episode and compare it to the previous portrayals of the character. So even if the actual content of the episode is sort of filler-ish with the way it's going, how it doesn't really affect any of the main plots or whatever, I still think it's gonna be very interesting and we're gonna have a lot of fun.
yeah. In
Hopefully,
fact, when
hopefully
I'm
it's
sorry.
it's not gonna be like Butch and Cassidy where like Butch and Cassidy show up for
The
like
return is
5 minutes.
completely inconsequential.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I think
but
we'll
in
see.
this
I
case,
think it will be good.
Anything, but I mean, it's cool. It's God.
I think it's clear that Sophocles is the main character of next episode with Ash and Go supporting. Basically, the formula of a typical character of the episode, except the character of the day this time is someone we know well, and we know that as a story beyond the one we are seeing in the next episode. And I think that's a good way to use a return if you can't tie it to the main story of Journeys proper. So I think that's a good way to go at it. So when I say that it might be a filler, so to speak, in the context of Journeys, it wasn't to insult the episode or make it lesser. Quite the opposite. I think it's likely going to be a very good episode, and I hope next podcast I will be able to say so. But we will see. I tend to always see how an episode goes. So let's just not think I will have to get to smash an egg on my head just to say, just because I was saying this episode was gonna be good and it wasn't. So let's hope for the best, and may it be a good one.
So, all right then. Next, let's talk about. I don't think we have much to talk about the Seto King thing. Other than that, I think it's pretty interesting they're doing
I'm
it again.
legitimately excited for this. I'm hoping it's just a big shit post.
Yeah, I think Go will catch
In the
uh
minutes.
Galarian Slowpoke, which will be nice. But aside from that, I don't really think there's gonna be much that comes from it. However,
The first,
however,
sorry.
episode
Okay.
98, I think, is gonna be like a stealth bomber of an episode. I'm pretty sure uh, that it's the Chloe episode with this performance or something. So let's talk about it. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about the hypothetical that this is in fact the Chloe episode with her doing some kind of performance as well as involving Flareon and Jolteon. So let's talk about that. What do you guys think about that?
I'm
Uh,
surprised about the fact we are getting two evolutions in one, because it made sense for Espion and Dumbron because they have a solar and lunar team, so something that fit well together. So it's weird to do that. I hope they aren't just sort of getting the evolutions out as quick as possible, so to speak, because as we mentioned, the Lithium episode seemed like an afterthought as a Chloe episode. So I hope it's not something that just there to be there. But of course, the fact that we see Chloe put on some sort of performance. Hmm? What?
apologies.
What?
Something's to play.
Oh, oh.
Continue. Sorry,
Well,
apologies.
I was saying I just want to know what kind of performance is going on, because something important to say is that we saw in the first the Darkrai and Cresselia arc, we already saw that Eevee already lost interest in doing contests, so it's not likely for it to be a contest because we already know that Chloe sucks at doing them, and that Evie doesn't really care for them anymore. So it's curious what kind of show it could be. I actually have a small theory, which could absolutely be wrong, of course. That perhaps it could be something like more akin to a Pokemon musical, that's something. But admittedly, it'd be weird because it'd be in Unova, which doesn't have a lot of Eevee aside from the winner of the Virtuous Conference and previous Yukikaji role in Pokemon before Clement. I'm talking about Virgil, the mysterious Kiwi man. Well, not so mysterious, but when. But I'm going on a massive tangent, so I'm sorry. To recover, I think something more akin to a Pokemon musical could be a possibility, or maybe even something original that is not a real contest in the sense that we mean it as a Pokemon contest. There is also the possibility of it potentially being a showcase, but I don't really feel that's the case because I don't see them bringing up the showcases without bringing up Serena, since it's their specialty, so to speak. Because while we do see that now anime original character are fair game, even now, I think they're not want to reuse an anime original element when they can take something from the games first. So I am very interested in what exactly Chloe is doing. That's the biggest question of this possible mystery episode in the end. And I'm curious to see where we'll go with this.
I think Pokemon Musical is a really interesting possibility because that was one of the more overlooked gimmicks in the Generation 5 games. And yeah, if they were to do showcases, then it's likely they would bring up Serena. And I don't think they would without having a big announcement uh, in the lead up to that episode first. So yeah, I can't think of what else it might be.
I mean, it could be one of those airport specials where it's just a narrator talking and all the Pokemon doing their own thing. I don't know, something experimental. Who knows? We don't have any titles or anything, so
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
I do think this. Oh, continue. Sorry.
I mean, I don't know, man. We don't really have a lot to go on for episode 98, or it could even just be a misnumbering by TV Tokyo. If
No,
we are.
I'm sure. They explicitly, both in the magazine and in the official Twitter account, labeled the Ash versus Marnie episode that is airing on the 25th as episode 99, which means that there is an episode 98 on the 18th.
We don't know anything about it.
We don't know anything about it. They haven't posted a title or anything.
Mm.
So it's kind of odd, but we'll have to see. I do think that it either means two things. One, they want to keep it as a surprise, which is unlikely considering that they wanted to announce Ash versus Marnie a month early to hype it up. Or two, it's kind of just like it isn't nearly as big of a deal as we're expecting it to be. It's probably just like a musical or something, as you said, that will air. But what I'm surprised about is that Chloe was interested in doing this kind of stuff to begin with, because based on what we saw, it seemed like it was a pretty involved kind of performance in which she was performing with, it was both her performing and her Pokemon, which is kind of like a showcase in a sense, but it was very involved. And the whole wasn't the whole point of like the first, not the whole point, but one of the big things that showed in episode 75 was that Chloe was kind of uncoordinated, like when it came to dancing or whatever, including Evie. So I'm kind of interested to see how they bridge that gap. With like, why does she even want to do this to begin with? So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's possible we can move on to, well, the big one, right?
Yeah, the big one. Okay. So episode 99, Marnie and Spike Myth. Hold on. I'm gonna pull up the summary and I'm gonna read it. I just need to find it. Hold on. Sorry guys. I got to
Let me just
let me just go to
what version will be.
Dami DSLP and I'm going to post it. Well, not post it, but read it.
Sure thing.
Okay, found it. Okay, so February 25th, Journey's episode 99, Marnie from Spike Myth. So, in this episode, it's been decided that Ash will be facing Marnie from the Galar region in the Pokemon World Championships. However, in an attempt at making Marnie get a bye victory, the Team Yell have fed Ash misinformation regarding the venue of the match and send him to Spike Myth instead of Winden, where he encounters Marnie's older brother and Spike Myth's gym leader, Piers. Piers then drives Ash to the real venue in Winden City on his motorbike, and on the way, he tells Ash how Marnie feels about the championships and the way she's climbed up through it. It's time for a fierce hyperclass match to begin. So yes, there was a massive press release regarding this episode a few days ago, in which coincides with the release of the magazine Spoon TDI for this month, released actually just a couple of hours ago. And there are, well, let's just say dozens of new frames and all kinds of stuff. Now, I'm not going to talk about the information here because the ebook technically isn't out yet, which is what we got the information from. So basically, the battle, I'll say what I think I can say as of right now. The battle does start in this episode. There's we see them sending out, I believe we saw 2 of Ash's Pokemon and 1 of Marnie's. And in addition to Morpeko, we saw another one. So yeah. This is definitely the major episode releasing this month. I think a lot of people are very excited for it, and I'm very interested in it too because it's the first battle in which it's possible for either person to win. This is the first hyperclass battle like this. Like, there is a narrative case to be made for either Ash or Marnie winning, depending on how they go about it. And for Ash versus Volkner, it was the very first hyperclass battle, and if Ash had lost that, it would have sort of invalidated the impact of the Ash versus Iris battle, which was, like advertised as the winner gets into the hyperclass and all that. That's how they advertised it. So I don't like everyone knew that Ash would beat Volkner, and for regards to Bea, that was a sort of finale of a quote unquote rivalry arc. So again, it was kind of a shoo-in that Ash would win. This episode, however, that's not like that. It's entirely possible that either Ash or Marnie could win, and that's why I'm very interested in it. Because the last time we had an episode like this was probably Ash versus Iris, in which, yeah, people thought Ash was probably gonna win, but you also had Iris who was like a champion. And
Supposedly.
yeah. Yeah, something like that. So
That
it
one's. Go ahead. Sorry.
it's gonna be very interesting. I'm very excited for this battle. What do you guys think about it?
If I may, I do have some thoughts first. If I may.
Yeah, sure.
My concern isn't so much with the battle, it's more so much with the handling of money and a whole
You hear me?
participation
Okay, perfect. Sorry,
in
I had a small issue with my microphone.
uh,
Sorry.
It's fine.
narrations.
We
I
were
wanted
just
to mention.
beginning our discussion of Ash versus Marnie, and Genesis was talking.
Yeah, no, no, don't worry. I was following. I was just unable to talk pretty much.
Okay. All
I
right.
just wanted to mention just something to build on what you say because I feel this battle has a bit of a problem, so to speak, because the fact that it wasn't immediately after the Alistair arc where Gengar activated his Gigantamax form, which is a bit of a can of worms. It's better to not take because it's a bit lengthy. So I will focus only on money. The fact is, we know that in prior cases, we had an episode establishing the gimmick and then an episode where gimmick prevailed, so to speak. So we had an episode reminding us about Xenos before Ash versus Vulcan, and then afterwards we had the 10 million volt Thunderbolt getting to clean house in Faulkner. Then we had the following B arc where pretty much Ash got Mega Stone, and then they already made clear that Mega Lucario would have won and wouldn't have problems failing or anything. So in the end, we knew that he wouldn't win. I do agree that the fact that they divorced the setup of Gigantamax Gengar from the following episode means that we have a chance for it to not be the decisive factor. But I feel that if they don't involve Gigantamax Gengar at all, it would retroactively make one question: why did we get the Gigantamax Gengar episode at that point? Because as we know, the journeys is not bound by a linear traveling structure. So if they show us something at a certain point, it has to have a bit of a reason, so to speak. So if we had an entire two-parter about Alistair and then the payoff to that arc we need to wait after this match, it's a bit weird narratively. Even if I'd like if this battle, if we follow the tradition of journeys to try to mirror opponents, we get Pikachu versus Morpeko or someone else just to allow Ash to use Gigantamax Pikachu properly before he likely uses it against Leon. I will like it, but I also feel it will raise this question of why we had Alistair this point then. Why didn't we wait until later if it would have been the same, pretty much? Also because, as we know, Gengar unfortunately has got an unearned reputation as a sort of jobber. So, of course, if it doesn't get its moment of glory, or worse, it loses instead of winning, it will be a bit of a stain on his reputation, so to speak, which I don't see
Yeah.
them actively. Yeah, it will be a Torterra problem, so to speak, and we don't want to cause that because Torterra wasn't clearly being purposefully built as a bad Pokemon, so to speak. It's just that the narrative ended up making him seem one, and that's a shame. I don't want this to happen to Gengar after the two partners seemed to set up him to become a stronger fighter, pretty much, which I hope is the case. But at the same time, I do think that there is something that paints this two-parter to be the most we'll get about Marnie journeys, much like how we had only three real important episodes of how during Sun and Moon
I
anime.
honestly
I
I don't
want
think
to,
so.
oh, sorry. I thought you were gonna say something else. Sorry. I just want to say, I don't want to go on how and Sun and Moon in this case. It just something I mentioned as a comparison, as a game rival that appeared little in their series of belonging. But what I mean is that as you read in the
Sorry? Hello?
You kind of cut out your.
Very, technical difficult.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see if he comes back. Regardless, I think
Yeah.
that he has a point about Gengar. If this is Gengar's, debut with Gmax, which it very well could be, because we know, based on a released frame, that Marnie is using Gmax. She's using Gmax. We don't know what mon it is, but it's highly likely to be Grimmsnarl. In which case, well, that's kind of expected. So it's pretty likely that Gengar will Gmax, but one thing is that it's at a disadvantage, right? Like, it's at a disadvantage against Grimmsnarl because Grimmsnarl can use like Gmax Dark type moves, I'm assuming. So that means that it's definitely at a disadvantage. So I think narratively Gengar should win, but he might not. Which would, well, it could also like make Marnie like Ash's next rival since he doesn't really have one anymore. And also, I do think that Ash does need to lose at least once in the hyper class. Uh, Mainly because if he wins this battle, he'll probably be ranked in the top 20 or so. And that is way too fast. Like unless they don't have like PWC battles for many months, I don't think the PWC is meant, like the master class is meant to start until like later in 2022, like maybe September or October. So
Yeah.
unless they want to start the master class in like June, he kind of has to lose to in order to pace it properly.
Well,
I wanted first to say I'm sorry if my microphone failed me again, and I'm sorry if I interrupted the Jinxie's earlier. I didn't mean to, and I'm sorry. Just
That's
wanted
fine.
to say so. Just I'm sorry. I have problems with my ramblings. Sorry.
no worries. Technical difficulties happen to everyone, I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the one thing I was saying. When did I cut off? Just to know.
You were cutting off when talking about how talking about I think the narrative causality of Gengar winning or losing.
Yeah, pretty much. I was saying one reason why I feel this may be the only content we get of Marnie as a serious opponent is the fact that as you read in the summary, we only we have Ash meeting Pierce, and Pierce basically explains how he feels about Marnie, which implies we are getting an entire explanation of Marnie's deal as a character in the first episode, and then in the likely following episode, unless this is all in one episode, which I doubt, we have the actual resolution of Marnie's character, which would work even if, of course, it had been extremely compressed. But basically, I feel it depends on how they set her up. If they use the two-parter just to say, okay, this is her deal and she's going to be a recurring character, which I don't see because otherwise, why would they explain us everything about Marnie in the anime verse in the first episode and then give us the battle rather than giving first and battle to introduce Marniak in 2OB was introduced.
I think
Yeah.
So
the reason for that, I see what you're saying. I
Excuse me.
think the reason for that is something that it's kind of a stop, like a not a stopgap, but an answer to the thing that a lot of people have been talking about. I'm kind of surprised so many people have been talking about it, but people have been talking about, well, how do we know that Marnie is strong enough to face Ash at this point? Like, because it doesn't really make sense, even if you're talking about it from the game's perspective. But in a way, it sort of does. Because Marnie starts off in her journey, I'm pretty sure at roughly the same time as the player character in Sword and Shield. That's when they start, and they both start as relatively novices, like novices. Except Marnie, I'm pretty sure was like a prodigy growing up or something. But she didn't compete in gym challenges until around when the player character did. Regardless.
If I may have a, if I may continue from where I was going to go before I,
Oh, sure. Go ahead, man. Never
um,
mind. I'll talk after.
yeah, I was going to start because we are way into the battles a lot earlier than I expected, but I had this concern that we are just compressing all of Mani's character into these 2 episodes, and that will be all we'll be getting from her. Because it from the summary that you gave us, it sounds like what what Pierce is going to do is info dump all of Mani's backstory onto us, so that the audience knows that we have to care for Mani right now because she's this important deal that they just explained to us. And it's very tell not show, if you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was about to talk about that actually. That's where I was kind of leading to. So yeah, it works out. Yeah, you're definitely correct. They are basically using Piers as a vehicle to show us why Marnie is like where she is and why she isn't like the starter version of herself where she's just starting out the gym challenge. Why is she? Because at this rate, if she's in the hyper class and she's at that level, then probably in the anime canon, she's already done the gym challenge, like the Galar gym challenge. Like she didn't win, she didn't become champion, but she already completed the Galar gym challenge uh and is now going for another stage of the Pokemon World Championship. So that's what I'm assuming happened. And yeah, I agree. Um, not introducing Marnie beforehand and just sort of just info dumping it, as you put it, is not really the best way of doing the storytelling. And if this is the only battle that Marnie is going to be in, like if Ash is just going to beat Marnie and that's it, that would be pretty bad. Like it wouldn't be very good. I don't
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it
I
would be
understand
very good.
that. Yes, I
However,
didn't.
however,
Uh,
one thing I'll say, and then I'll hand it off to you.
okay.
If Marnie does win, and we do get, or even if Marnie loses, but we do get a rematch later on, and we get some episodes uh, to kind of characterize her more, interactions with Ash more in between their battles, I do think this issue can be remedied. But if it is just this battle, it is really bad. So, what do you want to say?
Right. I just say in response that i- if we somehow get uh if we somehow have money just because I have not played Sword and Shield, okay, full disclosure here, but I do understand that she's a fan favorite character, and if she gets wasted like this, it's not ideal. But if she does win and Ash has to rematch her at a later date, then bail. That's just a bail again, you know. So it doesn't feel like we're winning with either situation here. If you get what it's either we waste a fan favorite character, or we just repeat a previous plot development and just transplant it to the ultra class. And I not I don't want to sound like a downer here, but it doesn't sound like either is the optimal solution for this
So,
next stage.
if
Yeah.
you if you were if you were in charge of it, how would you handle it in an optimal way?
Definitely introduce her. I think a lot of this will have to we will have to rework the PWC a lot more because it's meant to be this big ongoing tournament, which means that actually have had ongoing rivals from the very beginning. So one of the solutions I would have had would be to introduce her sometime during the super class or something. That,
I see.
yeah,
Yeah, that probably
have
would have been best, I think. I kind of agree with you, especially since the characters that they did introduce in the super class, like Rinto, haven't like been used, which is really odd.
yes, because it's an
Like
ongoing
they're
tournament.
they're
You
just
will show
uh they're just retooling into characters like Marnie.
yeah.
I do feel in the end that Genesis does a very good point. Pretty much, I feel the fact that the Greek class was just sort of glossed over ended up causing this cascade effect now that we are in the ultra class. Because I feel if we introduce the Marnie and all that
V, I think
You cut
your
out
audio's
again.
cut off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with your mic. Whatever new mic you got is kind of it cuts out after
I'm
just a
sorry,
few seconds.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for the problems I'm causing right
No,
now.
you're good, dude.
Just
Fine, it's fine.
my new mic dies constantly. I'm sorry. Anyway, I was saying Genesis makes a very good point that pretty much they should the problems of how the Greek class got glossed over ended up cascading the current issue we have in the ultra class, where now they need to set up the character right away because in the end this is akin for to take an example from an older series. It's pretty much like the way the maze contest went like in the Hoenn Fortune of the Advanced Generation anime, where they had one episode focused on introducing her opponent for the contest, and then her facing. This is pretty much that same format. And I feel that's the case if we assume this is all we get of Marnie, which I think it's a result of the fact that since the matchups are decided ahead of time by the Pokemon Battle Commission, if we go back to what was said early in Journeys, it means that there's not much chance to do something like they did with B, where Go told Asha where she was spotted and so he can track her down for a rematch. So they can't really do that unless the people in charge decide to do so in universe. I mean, pretty much, which I think is a bit of a problem of the current setup.
Something I just want to ask, because this is the first I'm hearing of any information regarding this episode. Um, and what I'm hearing is so far kind of disappointing, even without considering how beloved Marnie
Well,
is
we
as a
haven't
character in the
like
games.
technically we haven't like seen how it's going to be executed. Like we've just we're kind of it's mostly conjecture. Like we've heard like we have like a
Right.
2 sentence
We
summary.
are going by the summaries.
Yeah.
So it could be
Just what I'm wondering is,
Yeah.
even based on this very limited amount of information you have, like, do you think this episode is already a lost cause, or can they salvage it by handling it delicately?
I think they can salvage it. I mean, it's really conditional how it goes, right? Because we're talking about the two different routes they can go, which is either Ash winning or Marnie winning. But there are definitely ways they can salvage it. By one, the biggest thing is playing up the bond that Piers and Marnie have in the first episode by showing like how much Piers cares for her. Because the fact that Piers is basically like, I mean, from what it sounds like in the summary, it's almost like Piers is like a super proud brother who's like proudly telling Ash all of his sister's accomplishments and stuff. But yeah, Turbo in the chat, I see Turbo in the chat talking. No, this is probably going to be 2 episodes. It is not. I've seen scans now of it. I've seen some frames. It is definitely 2 episodes. The whole battle is not happening in one episode. It's gonna be a two-parter like Bea was probably. In like I'm like 99% sure. But
Well, I'm kind of just hoping that they treat this with the weight that it deserves, because we're only just seeing Marnie and we need to get her entire backstory and motivations in this one episode. And this episode already feels like there's a lot going on. Like Ash has to meet up with Team Yell. He has to get that false information. He has to run all the way to Spikemuth and meet Piers. It sounds like an episode that's going to have a lot going on and will probably be rife with a few gags here and there. So I'm just hoping there will be enough time to give all of this backstory the gravitas it needs for the battle to feel meaningful, if that makes any sense.
by the way, we just got a new frame of Sato King. Hold on. Not Sato King, but like it's from the Sato King episode. I think I can add it onto the podcast directly.
Oh, bring
Okay.
it. Tell us what the
Browse.
news has spoken.
Here we go. This is a new frame of Sato King. Oh shit. Let me just kind of show it here. So yeah, this is a new frame of Sato King podcast. Not Sato. Yeah, it's the Sato King. We're in the Sato King podcast now, but this is a new frame from episode 97, as you can see. So I was kind of confused originally whether both evolutions would be shown, because we got the Galarian Slowbro in a merch set recently. That's been very accurate. But we only knew that from the preview that Slowking would be there. But now we know that both Slowking and Slowbro will be there. So yeah.
And that's neat.
So yeah, that's a new thing.
New developments.
Yeah. Anyway, just to address Cotton's question, which I think is very interesting, I don't think the episode is a lost cause. Even at my most negative, I like to go into an episode with an open mind. So even if I don't think it will be good, I want to hope that the episode proved me wrong. In this case, I feel it's a bit complicated because I feel they can do a fine two-parter if we assume that it's an arc that will take just 2 episodes, which I feel in this case I compared it to May's opponent's episode because those episodes ended up being fine for what they were, pretty much. So I think it's possible that the episode has just the problem of just reducing Marnie to 2 episodes. But aside from the fact that one moment, sorry. Anyway, I was saying that. Uh, sorry, I'm being a bit busy when.
Oh, you're good, dude.
Sorry, I was being interrupted a second, not by technical difficulties this time. I'm sorry if I am causing half the problems of this podcast today.
Right.
It's
Anyway,
okay. You're good,
uh,
dude.
anyway, what I was saying was basically, I feel that there is a chance this is a fine two-parter that just happens to compress a lot game character. That's the best case scenario I can see. I can see also a chance of Marnie winning and then this leading to a more recurring lore, but I think that will carry some bigger questions than Ash winning pretty much. You know, I see both cases where we will be left with something to be desired, but we need to know what we will have to see. So basically, we need to wait and see, and then we will know if the episode disappointed or not. So not much different from a typical episode.
All right. Yeah. So we'll have to see how it plays out. I'm not exactly sure when I wanted to post the new scans on stream like I did with this one, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to, so I'm not going to, unfortunately. But yeah, so there are about 7 pages of new Anipoke content in in Spoon 2DI that came out today. And there's like 25 new frames from Journeys 99. I don't know why they have that many. I really don't know why they put that many in there, but there's a lot. So we'll have to see. Technically the ebook releases on February 3rd, so it might come out, we might release the frames then. In which case we'll probably show them during the next podcast. But yeah, I think we've covered pretty much all of the stuff we wanted to cover. It's been about 2 hours long. But yeah, so do you guys have any final thoughts on the future of Journeys? Oh, I have one thing to say. New opening when, dude? I've been waiting a year. Like when, like at this point it's getting kind of like comical. Like when are they just not going to do a new opening ever? Like there have been so many times where they could have done a new opening. I do think the potential, like if they were going to do a new opening in the next like 2 months, the only times when it would make sense to do it would be like episode 97 and episode 101 probably. Let me just move
Are
this
we
over
getting
here.
a new egg? Are we getting a new egg bat mood?
Huh?
Hmm?
A new egg bet? I don't know, because the thing is, based on the general info I have, there's going to be another arc in March about the Crown Tundra. Based on merch, based on magazine releases, based on some other stuff I know. There's going to be an arc in like March or maybe April, but probably March, about the Crown Tundra. And we don't know what's going to be happening with that. And we also don't know what's going to be happening with the 25th anniversary. Like, they might make a new opening for a 25th anniversary like they did for the 20th one. There's a lot of stuff that could happen, which is why the bet would be very, like, conditional. I don't know. I don't want to make a bet. Because I still have to do the other one. So, yeah.
Who
Although I
knows? Maybe
could live stream then whenever, maybe in the spring when it gets warmer, I'll do the egg thing on stream, like on this podcast. That'd be pretty funny.
I won't be making any bets, but I would like to make a bold prediction that the next opening will be another arrangement of 1, 2, 3.
Ooh. You know, I'm kind of I'm kind of on the copium right now. That since 1, 2, 3, like we've had 3 versions of 1, 2, and 3, then we'll get, it won't be 1, 2, 3, 4. It'll just be a new song.
A new song.
And normally, I wouldn't mind a new song at this point in time as well.
So
If you
yeah.
want something to look, yeah. Wow, we covered a lot today, haven't
Yeah,
we?
we covered a lot. I did not expect us to get through literally everything we had to get through today. That was quite amazing.
You consider this a New Year special then.
Yeah,
I'm
so
hoping we can do more regular podcasts just to keep a build up like this from happening again.
If you guys don't know, the last time we did a podcast was like months and months ago. It's been a while. So
November?
I think
It was
we'll be able to. Cal's, are you fucking serious?
It was in the. It was around August. It was around August, I think. August. Or before that, I don't know.
No, the last time we did a podcast was in like November or
Yeah,
December. I
Yeah.
think it was December.
November.
November, yeah. So I think we'll do them more
Time
regularly
was
now
only
because
me.
there's going to be a lot of new information that comes out in the next few months. Because Journeys, as is pretty standard for the anime, is ramping up in its 3rd year. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening this year. So I think we'll be doing it pretty regularly. I think the community as a whole is going to kind of, a lot more people are going to be getting back into the anime this year when they see the stuff that's going to happen. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting. I'm pretty excited. So with that, I think we can call it a day here. It's been really fun having everyone back again for
Yeah,
our
absolutely.
first podcast. Our first podcast of the year, and also the first one we've live streamed. So we had it on YouTube. We averaged like 4 to 5 viewers across the whole 2 hours, which I think is pretty good for our first our first stream ever. So yeah, I'm gonna be uploading the VODs of both this stream and a lot of the previous ones to the Egghead podcast YouTube channel, which serves as a sort of archive, and we'll be uploading them there. Probably on Tuesday is when I'll be uploading a majority of them. All right then. Well,
Eric,
everyone, like you guys to sign off, and then we'll call it a day.
it's been a pleasure.
In the same order or reverse order?
Bro, I
Yeah,
don't know.
please.
Just do whatever.
Let's do in the same order, just so
Well,
I can stop speaking and let everyone else speak. Because I'm sorry if I talked at a storm even by my standards. So I'm sorry for any problems I caused to everyone else, and it's been a pleasure. I love you all, and I'm glad to be here with all of you guys. Really, thanks.
Yeah.
yeah, it's always a pleasure for me to come on and talk on this podcast. And the only thing I have left to add is that I'm more excited for future Journeys episodes than I've been in a long time. And no matter how the Marnie episode goes, I guarantee that we're going to have a very long and very fun discussion about it.
Mm-hmm.
I say, yeah, I think, yeah, the new episodes are something to look forward to. We had a good run of episodes previously. We are having a good crop of episodes to look forward to as well. And I definitely look forward to speaking with all of you again. It's always a pleasure. Mm,
All
yeah,
right.
I just think if we can get back on a more regular schedule, so
Mm-hmm.
we can all make arrangements.
Yeah, I think we'll be doing that in the future. All right then, I'm gonna turn off the stream. Thank you to everyone who watched the stream on YouTube. Make sure to drop a subscription, and also follow our speakers on Twitter. I put a link in the description to all of them. And yeah, I'll see you all for next episode of the podcast. Have a
Take
nice
care,
day.
everyone.
Take care.